We're back with the answer to today's Biz Quiz. Which Georgia attraction sees the most visitors each year? The answer is B, Stone Mountain Park. Located 16 miles outside of downtown Atlanta, Stone Mountain draws some 4 million visitors annually to its 3,200 acres of scenic outdoor beauty, activities, and amenities. Well, Stone Mountain is one of the attractions owned by Herschend Enterprises. For nearly 6 decades, the company has aimed to live up to its mission of bringing families closer together. Their award-winning theme parks, live events, resorts, and shows create unforgettable memories for those young and old to cherish. Over the years, it's earned its place as the nation's largest family-owned themed attractions company. In addition to Stone Mountain Park, it owns Dollywood and the Harlem Globetrotters. CEO Andrew Wexler leads the charge of building upon generations of commitment to create new opportunities for families to bond. And family truly is important to the company's mission, as you'll see in today's executive profile.
I was actually born in Long Island, New York,
right?
And my mother was nomadic, so I went to as many schools as I did grades. I did graduate from North Hall High School in Gainesville, Georgia. I met my wife at University of Georgia,
right?
And the big condition for her to allow me to marry her was that we lived in Atlanta. She was originally from Atlanta, so I've been here ever since.
Tell me about your early career before you moved on to where you are now.
Yeah, so I had studied accounting undergraduate and went to work for Arthur Andersen. I was there for about 4 years, and then was going to leave with 2 other gentlemen and start an internet company. And so the head of audit called me into his office and said, Andrew, I just want you to know that this internet thing, it sounds sexy. You hear about the AOLs and the Yahoos and all the success, but what you don't hear about are the 2,000 other companies that started up and are now out of business. And the reality is that in 12, 24 months, your company's going to be out of business, and where's your career going to be? And so 24 months later, Arthur Andersen was out of business.
There you go.
So.
But the company you went to work for was far from being out of business.
That's right.
So tell me about that next company, your first startup that you went with.
It was Derivion. We did electronic bill presentment payment. We went from 3 of us to 300 people, and then the bubble burst. We got back down to 120, and eventually sold to what then was M&I Data out of Wisconsin. Coming out of that experience, I decided I wanted to be a C-level at a Fortune 100 company. That was really my ambition. So then I went to Harvard Business School. Then out of business school, went to work at McKinsey. And my first client was this multi-billion-dollar company, and it was painful. The tumbleweed would go through the halls at 5 o'clock. You know, people were there just for a paycheck. And most of my job experience was in a much more exciting and dynamic environment. And so that's when I decided I needed to go with a smaller company, a little more entrepreneurial, a little more agile, where people had a passion for what they're doing.
How did Andrew Wexler get introduced to Herschend? How did that whole thing come about?
So Joel Manby, the previous CEO, and I knew each other going back to a nonprofit that we had worked together on. And I had left a real estate development group to join Herschend as a consultant. And so the question was, how do we add hospitality to our existing properties? And so I came on as a consultant, and I like to say that Joel, for the next 9 months, kindly harassed me to come on full time. And my response back to him was, whatever I do next, I need to make sure it's long term because of all the jumps I had made, and I wanted to make sure I could set some roots somewhere. And that was 11 years later, and I'm still here. People
may not know the name Herschend,
right,
or the Herschend family and all that they built, but let's talk about some of their brands that might be recognizable to the viewers.
You know, absolutely. So in Atlanta, we operate Stone Mountain Park. We have a partnership with Dolly Parton in East Tennessee called Dollywood, which is one of the largest super regional parks in the country. If you're from the Midwest, you probably know about Silver Dollar City, which is in Branson, Missouri. But we also own the Harlem Globetrotters.
This all started with the Herschend family back in the 50s, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And it started in Branson, Missouri, correct?
Yeah, it was a cave tour. Mario and Hugo Herschend moved down to Southwest Missouri to start a cave tour, and the lines got so long they needed to give people something to do, and so they built this 1880s town at the entrance of the cave, and that became the Silver Dollar City theme park eventually.
So when you come in,
yeah,
and you interview for the job as a CEO, yet you're not a Herschend.
Right.
So was that a concern for you at all, coming in the door saying, well, but if I'm not a member of the family, what role am I going to have in decision making?
Well, Jack and Pete, the idea of being family held forever, they really wanted to make sure that it was stable, and so they created an independent board of directors. In fact, we have 6 independent directors, myself, and 2 shareholders, 2 family members. And so our board is independent, And then we have complete professional management. No Herschends work in the business.
Adding the Globetrotters to the portfolio, was that considered to be out of left field, or did it make sense when you were putting it all together?
Yeah, we have always talked about being a multi-platform family entertainment company. Our vision as a company is to bring families closer together. And the only way we can do that is to intersect with families. And so we're always looking for how we can connect with families. Historically, you had to come to one of our parks. With the Globetrotters, we're kind of meeting you halfway. We're going to a venue in your city. But the idea was the Globetrotters not just as an iconic brand in a basketball show, which it is, and it's a great one, but as a platform for live event touring business.
What are the keys to building a successful culture at an organization that has so many disparate brands in different locations? How do you maintain a consistent platform for culture?
Absolutely. The first thing you have to do is have common language and make sure everybody really understands why you exist as a company. Right. So I've talked about our vision as a company is to bring families closer together. And so I really want to make sure everybody understands that's our purpose. And if that doesn't energize you, maybe Herschend isn't the best place for you to work, and that's okay. You know, you need to find what makes you passionate and what gets you excited to come to work. You know, we firmly believe that the guest experience can never exceed the enthusiasm of the employee. So if I come in as a supervisor and I'm not, good to a frontline employee, who are they going to take it out on? They're going to take it out on my guests. Right. So it's really important that we're creating an environment where our supervisors take care of our frontline, because we want our frontline to take care of our guests.
Well, it's a great story to see how the Herschend family has grown what it is, and you've taken it to this level. What's next? What do you see the future being over the next 5 years for Herschend? We're
going to continue to build out the multi-channel family entertainment platform that we've built. We have theme parks, now we have adventures, we have live events, and then we have Herschend Entertainment Studios where we have 2 animated shows. And so we're going to continue to build out each leg of the stool, but we're also really thinking about how these virtual communities that are popping up, whether it be Facebook or Twitch for gaming, how do they manifest themselves in the physical world, and how do we make sure we're a part of that to create these experiences and environments that people are going to want to be a part of.
Well, the properties in the Herschend Enterprises portfolio currently span 23 locations in 6 states. Each year, more than 14 million guests make new memories at their attractions.